Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for spending your Sunday with us. We are sorry we had some major technical difficulties, and so that's why we're starting late. But you know what to do when you get on here. Please share, share, share. Make sure that everyone knows exactly what's going on. Make sure they know that you are here, that we are here. Do use your @followers, use your @highlights, and make sure that everyone knows what's going on. Yeah, that's just a little bit delayed. It'll catch up in a sec. All right. And so, there's a little delay. So you're probably still seeing the flag now while we're talking. So my team on the inside here is making sure I know. But good evening to all of you. Use your highlight, share, and do everything you can to get us going. Okay. Someone is saying we're here. Thank you so much for being here. And of course, we are going to get this going in just a second. This is the year in review, and we've had a very interesting year, and we want to wrap this year up strong. All right, we want to wrap this year up strong. We want to talk about the things that we've accomplished, the things that we've done, the things that have happened this year. With reference to the COI, there's a lot of people who didn't know, that we were here because some people only get their news from the mainstream media. I mean, and I feel so sorry for them. They're definitely going to be misinformed and misled in a lot of instances. Anything relating to politics, the news is skewed. And so, if it's a regular story that there was a murder or that a hurricane is coming, that's fine. Any story related to politics, the news, and you're not going to get the information you should get. And so that has to be the case, but you can take responsibility and talk to your family, talk to your friends, and make sure that they know exactly what is going on, that they are fully informed of what's happening in this country, and especially, that, we're ready for change. And Bahamas is ready for something different, man. And we want to make sure that your family and friends can keep up to what's going on. All right. We're going to start this whole thing with a little short video for those. Off with a little short video for you. We're going to start this off with a little short video for you, and we hope you enjoy. But things have really changed. The year has ended strong. People, they are now politically awoke, and they are ready to do something. And so we're going to start this off with a little video, and we're going to end this with this video. But here we go.
And he's challenging us. Champion is called Brad Davis. And that ain't my words. That's his words. Because he said he's one of them. And he said he's going to look out for them. And he said he's always been there for them. So we need a government that's going to look out for us. You're tired of the foreigners doing whatever they want to do in our country. Taking all our land, all our resources. And the way they're going to get with the taxpayers. And I try to say the rise with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. We've had an interesting year, and like we said, the people are ready for change, man. The people are ready for change, and so, of course, it's a battle, and it's time for us to get back in the battle, and it's time for us to do what we have to save this one another nation. This one here is all we got, and so we got to fight for this. All right. So someone's asking me to play the video again. I'm gonna you me to play it one more time. I'll play it one more time. I think I can do that. All right. Let me play it one more time. Let me play one more time for the Warriors on here. I'm gonna play it one more time, and then we're gonna get started. All right. And so make sure you use your chairs, etc., etc. We're gonna play it one more time for you, so you can see. A lot of people wondering what the support is, and that video was showing, the FNM call for rally. No one came. Less than 50 people came on that first Wednesday. They called them. The next Wednesday, 0% showed up. That means that they think they are. Be called for all their supporters. They said all roads lead to Ruston Square, and they had less than 50 people show up also. But when the COI calls, the COI people come. And so here's one more time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Let's get it started, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for us to talk about the entire year that we've been experiencing, that we've been seeing. A lot of things have happened this year that many of you have forgotten, and we're going to touch on all of that. First of all, I want to say happy holidays to you. This is going to be my last live for the year. But sometimes when I say it's my last live, every year I do that. From 2020, I do that. I say this is my last live. Obviously, I mean for the year. So I'm going to take a break, focus on family, spend some time with kids. I time call all hours. Sometimes people call 1 o'clock in the morning. You expect me that. People call at any hour. People call on your Friday night when you should be relaxing, and I give myself, I sacrifice myself to the game, and people don't have a problem with it. But this special time of year, I have to sacrifice kids. So I hope you respect that for them. Y'all are benefiting from it. I'm really fighting for them to leave a good Bahamas. And so it's them. They are first and foremost why I'm fighting. And so it doesn't make sense me fighting if I'm not with them and spending some time with them and helping to groom them. And so I'm going to spend some time with my kids. And so this is the last live until next year. All right. And so the internet is going to go up and down. It might be down now. I don't know if it is. But the internet is going to be up and down. I'm so sorry about that. I should connect one of these devices just in case it goes down. But to be honest with you, you got to tell me if it's up because I don't know if it's up. Yeah, so you'll have to. Okay, so looks like we're back up now. Okay, I think we're back up now. We're so sorry. It was frozen all the time. Where we are, so you just got to bear with us. I'm in Grand Bahama, by the way, and I'm in the Bahamas where, oh, God, it seems like nothing works.
Looks like we're back up now.
Okay, so now it's back up. Oh, my God. We're sorry. We're in the Bahamas, okay? So you have to deal with these kinds of things. So I'm so sorry about that. Let me just get this on one of the mobile devices so that if it goes down for a long period of time, it will shut you off. I'm so Get that back up. All right. But we should be good. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have an interesting conversation today because we are going back in time. So, everybody get ready to jump in the time machine with me. And so, what we're going to do is because a lot of the information is on our Facebook page, not all of the things we do, we don't publicize 1% of 1% of what we actually do. We do a lot for the public. We do a lot for the Bahamian people. We don't publicize everything. Some people feel that everything we do, we publicize. No, you can't even imagine the amount of things that we're doing on a daily basis. This is an absolute full-time occupation for us. And we thank those who are, help us and make us able to get this done. Before we get started, I did a post on my page today. You can go and look at it afterwards. I'm going to speed through this because I've been going for so long and we haven't moved. Someone says they can't reply. I don't know what's going on. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've had, today, I flew in Bahamas Air, and the service that I saw a young lady give to some children who were on Bahamas Air. They were, with not accompanied by an adult. And when I say that, I mean their parents, obviously, or another adult, because they could be their aunt or some person that their parents sent them with. I saw someone, they got all frustrated when I said that. They said, "Oh, you're lying because, children must travel with an adult. The airline, takes them into custody." And that's exactly what I was meaning, that the children were turned over to the airlines. The airline brought them into the place. Stewardess took over from them. So amazing with them. Even the way she gave them the instructions, she could be a teacher. So the way she gave them the instructions, and even she thought about what could happen before, like when they were taking off. When the plane lands, don't lose the seat time and wait until this happens, and you don't get up until I come for you. And the way she dealt with them, even they had to use the bathroom, etc. It was like they were her children. This woman, professional is not. The way she dealt with them was beyond, and it made you could leave. She treated them like royalty, to be honest with you. When I got in the bus, because in Bahama, you get out of the bus to be taken to the domestic terminal. I was in the seat, and they actually moved me from the seat to be able to sit the four children next to each other. I had them, and I thought that was a really good thing. So I didn't mind being moved so they could sit together. All four of them weren't together; they were in pairs, but they sat. And they dealt with them so good of sending my children to travel. Every time my children have to travel, I go with them. But I never dreamed. But now I see that that's what I saw today. The children are safe. I just wanted to say that and commend that young lady. I want to also thank all of those who came out with us yesterday. And as we delivered generators to 3 old folks home and 1 old folks home, we took blankets, etc. for, because they already have a generator. And so, we feel honored that we were able to do that. And these are not small generators in terms of power. So these are powerful generators able to run a whole house. So they'll be able to still have their fridge running to stay cool and do all those things. And the reason we did that is because, the elderly, some of them need medication that have to be refrigerated. And we need to make sure that because PL goes off, that they don't lose everything. Some of them are on machines, oxygen machines and other machines that need electricity. And we need to make sure that they're taken care of. And that's the reason why we decided to invest in making sure that they got their generators. And so we're going to be delivering generators. We got some text messages from persons who have elderly persons in their homes, and that they want generators to make sure that they're safe when the power goes off. And so we're going to deliver as many generators as we can. We're looking at up to 50. And so if you have an elderly person in that situation, please send a text to me at 803-5995. In the text, put the word generator, Whatever you say, doesn't matter. Just make sure you put the word generator, so that when we do a search for the word generator, we'll see all of the text come up, and we'll be able to make sure that you get straight. We're going to deliver those next week, Saturday. And so make sure that you are in there. You can send us a text, or you can go to the headquarters and leave information there. At our headquarters is open every day, I think up until 3 or 4 o'clock. And so you can go there and make sure that your loved ones are taken care of. That is very important. And that was important to us because every Christmas, everyone looks out for the children. And since we have our constituency budget that's going to go towards toys for the children and entertainment and that kind of stuff, we said, okay, the children are good. Let's cover the bases that are not covered. All right. And so that's why for back to school, we saw that kids were covered with backpacks, etc. So what we did was pay for haircuts, because a lot of people, could not afford haircuts, etc. So that's what we paid for. This time we're paying for generators. Now these are very valuable generators. All of them are valued between $1,500 and $2,000, over $2,000. And so this is a big undertaking. And so we want you to understand that we get about 100 plus calls every day of people who are in need. And sometimes we just have to find one organization we could sponsor, or find one way that we could help, more people. And so, because we can't help every single person. And that's why we want a new Bahamas. We want a Bahamas that can benefit from their natural resources, etc. All right. So with that said, 5995 is the number. I don't know. Something's going on with the chat. I don't see these chats moving. Okay. The chat that's supposed to be right up there next to me, I don't see that moving. That's the chat right there. It's on the screen, but I don't see. Look like it's frozen. All right, we're having all kind of technical difficulties, but don't worry about that. So, ladies and gentlemen, have we? We have had a coalition of independence since election has not stopped going. We have been fighting for the Bahamian people. We have been doing everything we can for the Bahamian people. And this is a real human task. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back in time, and we're going to discuss some of those issues. Then we're going to open up the phone lines. We're going to discuss those issues from January 1st of 2024 up to today. And we're going to look at these things and what happened during the year. And we're going to discuss them briefly a little bit. So how are we going to do that? We are going to go on the Facebook page. I'm going to share the Facebook page now for you. And so you'll be able to see exactly what's going on. You're going to be able to see. Let me pull that up. Where is it? Okay. Let's get that. We're going to look at everything we've done for the entire year. Many of these things you've forgotten. Many of the scandals that the government have had, Bahamians have forgotten already. Can you believe that? There are a lot of Bahamians who don't remember certain things. They don't remember that we've had to fight the government in many different ways. And we could go back all the way to 2021, but we can't today. We won't have enough time. But we have been in the fight. And I want to thank all of my Bahamian people who have been there to make sure that we've been able to fight for the Bahamian people. Those who showed up, those who gave of their time and their talents to make sure that this year happened. And so let's talk about this year. So y'all hang with me now. Let's talk about this year. So we started the year by wishing you Happy New Year. We were still on break at the time. And we came right back in it. So January 4th first post that I put up, I sent a message out there. We were still on break, but we couldn't really take a break because we talked about the crime crisis. Remember, the year started off with murders galore, to the point where America put us on a watch because there were murders galore. Do you remember that? The year started out with a slew of murders, all right? And the government started trying to come out and cover, saying, oh, well, crime is down. The murders is up, but crime is down. And we had to explain to them that it isn't crime that is down. It's the reporting of crime that's down. People stop losing faith in the government. Like, put out a message out there to the Bahamian people to let them know that don't trust what these people are saying. There are house breakings that are happening. People aren't wasting their time going to the police. People were losing trust in the police. People were doing vigilante justice because they couldn't trust anymore. On January 7th, we went down to remember, we talked about credits. and bonds that was going on. So a person who started talking about that there was $11 billion that the government had gotten it. It was in the bank and the government had received it. And so what I did was use real research to go and find out what was going on. And I found the documents because the persons who were talking about it, they weren't producing any documents. They were just saying it and hoping that we just believe them. But I went and found the documents and saw that there was blue bonds for $11.37 billion. And in this slide, and I'm showing you, doing this to show you that there's a treasure trove of information on my Facebook page. And you can always go back as far as you want and see as much as you want, or do a search for certain things. And so on this live, I talked about the 11.3 billion and that the government did not have it. And that whoever was telling the bank that that was not true. But it was there. If they qualified in certain ways, and I showed the things they had to do to qualify, and that they did not qualify yet, and what was really going on. All right. And so I also talked in this live about why they don't want the Freedom of Information Act, Pintard and the gangs, and Life of Key speech that Prime Minister Davis had. And so you can go back and watch that in your spare time. Spend this holiday going back over some of these lives. All right. And so we went on January 9th straight into Abaco. So we weren't wasting any time. So we dropped our holidays and went straight into Abaco and had 2 days and 2 well-attended meetings in Abaco. And I want to thank the people of Abaco for coming out. We went into Abaco to make sure that people knew what was going on in Abaco, because Abaco people were complaining. And so we immediately, because the government was trying to say that shanty towns had gone away, see that they were building like mansions. They were building huge places there. All right. And so we went in there and we got the shock of our lives when we saw that these shanty towns were building back and building bigger than ever. And so that was an interesting live. All right. We had another village where you could see all the building that was going on, and the government was pretending that it wasn't happening. And so we had to expose this, and we saw where they had their own BC in the back there, and they had their own system going on. And we were walking the back there, and they were building big houses now, and they had power and water and everything going on. And so the game changed. And so we exposed that. And that was January 9th and January 11th, we went into the other shanty town. And then we had, on January 11th, we had a town hall meeting down there to make sure that everyone knew what was going on. And we would talk to our people. We had another town hall meeting on January 12th in North Abaco, all the way up north. And so we've been putting in the work. So I want you to remember that. All right. The PM did a thing, and we sorry about that. That's my daughter calling me. All right. And so the PM did a briefing, and we came on after him to make sure Bahamas knew what was going on. And they actually gave a crime plan. And this crime plan was the most ridiculous thing ever. I want you to remember, this was January 14th. The year was filled with crime, the beginning of the year, and the government did this new crime plan, and it was a copy, 2 seconds on Google, and you could have found the same crime plan from England, where it didn't even work, and they just copied it. They needed to have something, so I guess one of the speechwriters or someone just copied a crime plan, which should come from. I'm sorry, my daughter is asking me to send her DoorDash. So again, she's more important than all of y'all. So I'm sorry. Just give me a second to do that. I promise you I'm going to multitask. All right. So it's 2 seconds. Yeah. This is how fast it is. You know, in today's world, you can be a parent even overseas. All right, done. All right, Chipotle it is. All right, so I wish we would live in a country that can work. My daughter just called me and asked me for Chipotle, and I was able to literally, and it's going to her door right now. Why can't we live in a country that works? Where you could just go. We'll talk about that after. Plan was just a copy, and it was actually ridiculous. And we showed where it was a copy. We read the crime plan, and the government should have been embarrassed. But these guys don't have no shame. They are just into making as much money as they can, so that after the 5 years is over, if they lose, if they win, then it's gravy. They just become more dictatorial. More of dictators, and if they don't, then they just go and spend their money for the next 5 years while their friends are in power. All right, and so we went on Steve McKinney show after that to talk about what a lot about the fake crime plan. All right. And so that was live on Steve McKinney show. And so there was a lot about that. You know, they were blaming parents for crime. All of a sudden, it was the parents' fault. When they were in opposition, it was the government. But when they got in, it's the parents' fault. It's always everyone except for them. All right. And so that's the thing. All right. Okay. All right. And so if we going and we look at this, I want to scroll to this and then we can have it afterwards. They talk about how we're going to change the whole entire system. We're going to go republic. We're going to change the system because it's these same people who are benefiting from everything. This is Frankie Wilson's wife, along with Lynn Hollow Wesco, and they are having big smiles with each other. All right. And while you thinking that it's about PLP or FNM or about colors, they have you separated while they working together. All of them are working together. The FNM and the PLP are working together, and their wives, their children are they are godparents, each other's children, and they are business partners, and they are living their best life while keeping you fighting each other and keeps. And so we talked about the system, how we're going to change the system to end all of this. Because we have no intention of bowing to the Queen. All right. And so the government also talked about that all of these killings are retaliatory killings. And so I informed them that if these are retaliatory killings, then you know these are the easiest ones to solve. Because if someone get killed, you would have known who would want them there, and you would know who would take revenge for them. Because you say you know the gangs, you know who they are. And so, and you've met with them. So it's easy to track these criminals and deal with it. But of course, they don't want to do anything. And most of the people who are doing the retaliatory, who are being killed, have ones who are retaliating have ankle bracelets. So you could kill time, like watching a video game. And so we started to show people the murder rates was. And so Miami-Dade County, with 2.6 million people, 1 murder. London with 9.7 million people, 6 murders. This is a January 27. The Bahamas with 395,000 people, 19 murders. Can you believe that? That was on January 27th, 19 murders already for the year. All right. And so it was disgraceful. I also released this information about immigration with all of these names of these people who were getting special favors. Go back and watch that live. Take time and go and watch that. It's brave people, all right? Remember that live? That was on the 28th. And so we also talked to you about carbon credits, crime, and all of this stuff, and we revealed a lot of stuff in this live. So the government went into Abaco us and tried to make it seem like they were doing something. They were giving out notices, telling people they were going to do this and that, but it was all fake, all right? And so followed us. We decided to do a series. We wanted to do a series about vision, and so that's when we started interviewing people, Graham Weatherford, and other persons during that series every week. And so because we wanted to inform people what was going on, all right? And so we kept talking about crime that was going on, because that was a big hot topic, hot button issue, and it started to affect tourism. February, remember the old folks home that we went to yesterday to give a generator? Well, earlier this year we were there giving them breakfast. So we fed the person in these old folks homes and made sure that they were fed. We've been doing this for many years. As some people with the COI do, we don't brag about everything you do. And then you tell people what you do, they say, "Oh, you should." Makes no sense. I learned about everything Jesus did in the Bible. All right. I learned about everything the disciples did and those good Christian men in the Bible. It was published. So, yeah, on a personal level, someone else, you just keep that to yourself. When you're an organization and you're receiving donations, an organization is out there helping people and you want to encourage other people to help people, there's no need to keep that secret. You should. And so what we did when we went there yesterday in particular was we used and on this day to other people to remember them. We put it as if you don't remember that there are these old folks' homes that need your help, you won't help them. What we want to do is to make sure that you remember them, the children's homes and everything, so that you will constantly be able to go there and help them out. And so we've been doing that for many years. And so we then went and met with these, and these are some pictures in the CCTV monitoring room. And this was a picture where we actually met with the Commissioner of Police and team. I don't want to click on these because I don't want to lose where we are, but I'm sitting in the front with Clayton Fernanda and etc. Yeah, I was sitting next to Delaveau and Clayton Fernanda. That's when he promised, "I'm going to give you your gun back. You know, it was nothing illegal. You didn't do anything wrong, etc., etc." Clayton Fernanda is he will lie in your face and say anything and do whatever Brave and those tell him to do. The problem I had with that whole transaction, I made it public even before it happened, to make sure where was in the back of the bush, in the back of nowhere, on where they were making coal and no one was there. I shot my gun into the air, which you have a right to do. I mean, people, what you get your gun for if you can't shoot it. And a Haitian man came to me and he said, "We taking your gun, eh? You stop us making coal, we taking your gun." And so I said, "Well, stop talking foolishness. Taking what gun?" I said, "I ain't with no crime. I ain't do nothing wrong. And my gun was licensed." He said, "You hear me? We taking your gun." I said, "No, man. Clayton Fernanda, right? Let me give me back." He said, "Clayton Fernanda don't run the police force. We run the police force." Remember I said this? And just like that Haitian man told me, Clayton Fernanda told me he's giving me back. And then they sent something in writing saying they was I guess repossessing, or I don't know what they call it, but however they said it, it was illegal. But I sued them for it. I sued them, and of course they're not. It's like, wow. I think we lost connection again. Okay, I'm sorry. I think we lost connection. I am so sorry for all these technical issues. The system is going haywire. I'm sorry about this. Okay. Look like we're back up. I'm so sorry. The whole system is going haywire. I don't know what in the world is going on. Um, yeah, I don't know what's happening, but we'll try to get that straight for you. Uh, get that off there. I'm so sorry. The internet where we are is going crazy and hacked or something is going on, but I don't know why why that is happening. I'm so sorry. So okay, all right. Let me just share my screen again. Um, yeah, let me just give me 1 sec. Let me just share the screen again so we can continue. I am so sorry about all this. It's all right. So this is where we was. We were talking about the police and the situation, and we went to the police, and the police did what they did. And I can tell you that everything went haywire for them after this. After I feel like after they attacked me and did what they did, I feel like they experienced some serious issues. I think they had a year of exposure after touching me wrongly. I won't say um, I won't say that uh, I know that it's because of that, but I can tell you that since they did what they did this year wrongly, the same Clayton Fernanda, he's now been forced to resign. His deputy, who was sitting next to me in this picture, was forced to retire. And a lot of expansion on the police force. And I feel that all of this started really they did at CARICOM when they abused those innocent Bahamians for. I think that it was wrong, it was evil, and it was the worst thing that the police force has ever done in this country. And I don't know how they thought that that would go unpunished. And in short order, you can see them unraveling before your very eyes. And they might think that there's not a God and that God is not in full control. But we went to them, we showed them love, even in abusing all of those persons. We didn't even ask them for an apology, even though we sued them. We didn't ask them for an apology. We went to be able to help, to see where we can assist with the crime problems. They asked us for certain assistance. I have certain expertise that they asked me for. And I've told them that I was for us with what I am good at. And they were glad for that. But even after that, Clayton Fernanda continued to stab us in the back at every opportunity and to abuse the Bahamian people at every opportunity. And I think that it's the chickens coming home to roost. And again, as I told Layman Delavo, I forgive him. And I will tell Clayton Fernanda now, I forgive him. Let God be his judge. As simple as that. But we went to the police force and we volunteered our expertise to them, and they didn't take it. And so we continued our vision series, and that was Dr. Sorry, not Doctor, but Joe Davel, who we spoke to. We continued the vision series. Just wanted to go through this, and then we'll have a discussion about this year and what you think, and then a discussion about the year to come. All right. We continue to raise funds to be able to do the things that we're doing. As you can see, we're all over the Bahamas, and we're working hard, and we're helping where we can and doing everything we can. I want to thank all those who help us win. We had a vision series with some youth, and we were putting out messages. This message, I wish I could play for you, but this was the police officer. This when we forced their hand, and they had to start doing something about some of the shanty towns. But what they were doing was they were sending to your social services. I'm trying to speed through a lot of this. After all this, we're only in March. They were sending the Haitians to social services to find housing for them. And our money was being used to house these people. And this police officer actually accidentally said it, that accommodations was made for them. And as they find accommodations for them, then they were breaking down their homes. The ones that they found accommodations for, because people started to wonder, oh, why are you all breaking down these homes here? But the homes right next to you, you're leaving. But Brave and them was bragging as if they were doing something about the shanty towns, but they weren't. They were actually helping these people and doing almost like what was happening in the U.S. and abusing our money to help these people who came here illegally, breaking the law. And so it is ridiculous, and it's still going on. And so while Bahamians are suffering, Bahamians are, don't know what they're going to eat. The electricity is off. Some are living on the beaches, living in cars. This is what is going on. All right. And so we actually went and found another shanty town right next to where one was being broken down after they came and made that statement. And we actually found where they were making coal. If you remember this, I actually got ill from this coal thing. Couldn't go live. But this was another coal kill that we found that they were continuing. And I can tell you that they've continued even more now. You can see the coal bags are big time on Cowpen Road again. But we went and toured the shanty town. And after Brave them bragged, and the newspapers are helping them. The media is not doing any research, and the media is literally going back, just repeating everything that the government says, but they're not going and checking anything for themselves. All right. This here, we got a Haitian man arrested making coal, but of course he was right back out after the cameras left. All right, live on air. We pulled up with the police. A man was making coal. They arrested him. Of course, nothing. All right. This was the coal kill that was burning. Huge mountain of a coal kill. And so that's the ridiculousness that we had to experience. And so, again, on March 8th, we had a live protest at the parliamentary office. The staff is protesting and helping them to be organized. All right. The staff was with them, and we went and fought for them. We showed them mold in the moldy building, and we were fighting for their pay. And so we've been fighting for the country. No, they don't call. Notice they don't call the FNM or the PLP. They call us because we stand up for the Bahamian people, and we're going to continue to stand for the Bahamian people. But while Pintard says, oh, we were fighting for the Bahamian people, you don't fight for the Bahamian people. You fight for things that affects you politically. That's what you fight for. You're only fighting because you're only making noise because you were silenced. You were silenced in the House of Assembly. You're not fighting for the Bahamian people. Why weren't you out there fighting for these people in Parliament? Why weren't you out there fighting for the taxi drivers who need help, the nurses and other people who need help all across this country? Why aren't you standing up for the Bahamian people? Election coming, but we went and fought. We went into the moldy building that they had and showed the mold, etc. In the rooms. It was horrendous. But we fought for them, and now they've been moved to a building on Tony Williams Darling Highway. They were given an order to go back to work. This was the order that they were given by Arthur Taylor, who was also in that building. And he was instructed to do so. All right. And so then again, I just want to go see the amount of things that we've been doing. All right. This was when I had to cancel my live because of exposure to the cold and that situation exposing this. This is dangerous what we do. We also announced a car raffle. And so we raffled a Chevy Equinox, 2021 Chevy Equinox, while the F&M raffle the little Japanese cars that no one even know the name of. It probably cost about $3,000. That's what they raffled. But we raffled a SUV, 2021 Chevy Equinox SUV. And so it was something to see. All right. Next, we talk about NIB, and we broke down the scandal of NIB, going through their documents line by line, showing why NIB is broke, because this is after they were raising NIB, and we showed how NIB was being used to rob this country, that they were stealing from NIB to fund their companies, that NIB was investing their biggest investment of 20-something million dollars. I think it was $26 million in the Commonwealth Brewery, a liquor company. And NIB is supposed to be about health. And they took it and pumped it into their company. NIB money, so they were taking our money, buying oil and selling it to us, selling to BPL to sell it to us. It was ridiculous, the scandal that we shown. Go back and watch that live if you're just starting to follow us. A lot of information is there. And then we announced our convention. Yeah, we are not operating like a third party. We are operating on a serious level. We were the first to have a convention. While the PLP and FDM were afraid to have a convention, we were the first to announce our convention. And of course, the PLP came running trying to copy us. But we announced our convention and we decided to have a convention. We held back on it because the election came up, and then we held a convention after that. And the convention was a smashing success. Our voting process was smooth. Everything was electronic. We literally had electronic voting. So immediately, our people literally took 30 seconds to vote. They voted, and immediately we knew how much everyone got, how much votes they got, and who won. When there was a tie, we were able to immediately recalibrate and have a revote, because we had an instance where there was a tie. Voted until the tie was broken. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we showed them how this can be done, and they call us a third party, and we did this digitally while they count their ballots and their papers and all this kind of stuff. We did it safely, securely, digitally, and we showed them what the new Bahamas could be like. All of a sudden, the government announced that we're going to make money from carbon credits, and so they legitimized everything that we've been saying all this time. It became legitimate to everyone. BPL, there was massive fraud on the Bahamian people. They were going to try to steal. We announced this long before it was announced to the public. We let the people know, based on our investigations, what they were going to try to do, that they were going to try to sell off the generation capacity. They were going to try to what they're going to try to do to BPL. Long before it happened, we announced it, and months later, it came to fruition. We also told you that they're going to go solar, and then they're gonna give it to Frankie Wilson and them, so that they're not going to be making more money off of us by selling us what they get for free, which is the sun. All right, and so that was an interesting live. We also showed here where the government was working with someone who was charged as a racist in a building that was for elderly. It was set aside for the elderly. And I had partnered with getting that building off the ground. They had come with some phony documents, and all of the police who were sent there, when they looked at the documents, they were like, "Oh no! This isn't the building. This is the wrong documents. This is the wrong documents. This document is phony." And eventually, they went to headquarters and they came with a assistant commissioner of police who acknowledged that the documents were wrong, but he don't care. He got instructions to do whatever these people say. And this was when the corruption was really started to show in the police force. They came there with an assistant commissioner of police with phony documents to evict these elderly people that were in there, and that was extremely disgraceful. Extremely disgraceful, and started to show the corruption of the police force, where it seemed like once you pay a couple dollars, man, they do whatever you want to do, because that's them. All right. We also supported the BPU, the BBU, BC union and the staff because of what they were going through. And then we found out about the scandal about the $200,000 vehicle. Remember the $200,000 vehicle that he bought? I actually showed you where they could get actual SUVs that all world leaders drive around in. And I showed the pricing of these SUVs. If you look here, I mean, you get these SUVs in the States, you could bring them in duty free. And I showed where, let me see what kind of pricing they had here. Let me see if I typed that in. Yeah, get a Suburban, luxury Suburban, not the regular luxury Suburban for $70K. All right. Versus $200,000 BMW, and so That's 130K that could have gone to something with sense. You know, instead of them saying they don't have money for commission inquiry, that's commission inquiry money right there. Anyway, we showed how it could be done. I'm gonna keep going. So we're still in March. You see how much work this is that we're doing, and everyone, these things takes a lot of work. We went on Steve McKinney show to talk about a number of things: the car, NIB, BPL, all of these stuff that we've been revealing. It's hard to keep up with so much scandals. There's never been so much scandals in government before, ever. All right. And so this is where we showed evidence that the police was working with this racist foreigner, etc. And then we wanted to make sure that everyone remembered that while the prime minister bought a 200K BMW, there were 3 expensive Lexus vehicles that were bought by the FNM that just disappeared. And so we brought that to the Bahamian public. A lot of people don't remember that. And so the FNM always accuse the PLP, but they do the same thing, exact same thing. And so that's why they have no credibility to right-thinking Bahamians. All right. And of course, we had the passing of Dawn Sanders. And it was just so curious how the Commissioner of Police came to that scene and immediately said that it was a robbery. It was not a hit. No one was talking to him, et cetera, et cetera. How could you do that? That was very suspicious. That was beyond suspicious. All right. And so I'm just going to try to speed through this. Of course, we went into the Easter break. And I did an investigation on this Dawn Sanders thing. You go back. And again, we're just in April after all this time. All right. And so we had a situation where a man sexually assaulted a woman at a party and then pulled a knife on persons at the party who was defending against him. And it's the police, instead of arresting the criminal, they arrested the victims. Literally, they came there. He went, grabbed police, brought some police, and they arrested the victims, all right, of this man. And so he was caught on recording, asking the victims to pay him off, or his CDU people is going to jail them. And I had to get involved. You know, the politicians are afraid, the actors are afraid, he was kind of stuff. But we exposed it, and of course, he had to be dealt with. All right. But this was something we fought for in April. Again, this was our registration process for our convention that was coming up. We had senior police who was caught red-handed in another scandal here before. I said, let's talk about 90. And so go and watch that live. I want to speed through this, but another senior police was caught up in scandal there. Is our convention talk, and that was our convention. Look how beautiful it was. That's before we got started. Created, and that's the convention itself. If you want to go watch it, you can go watch it. It was a powerful night. It was something to see, and so we're operating like any party. Maria Daxon was no longer the deputy, and of course she's still a strong. All right. Then they started the scandal about the COI selling shares and that kind of stuff. They started all kind of lies and stuff to attack us. It was crazy. This one, $8 million man and $7 million man, go and watch it. I'm going to skip through it. You go and watch it. That's when we were showing more scandals in the PLP. And these $8 million and $7 million scandal, go watch it. I got to breeze through it. And again, the Davis administration did a gang bill, which now made it so that persons involved with gangs couldn't get the death penalty. All right. I went through the law on that so that persons can see what's going on with that. All right. Where are we now? We're just in April. Jesus. All right. I want you to see how hard we work and how much we do. And I had to go through all these bills to show you that this new gang bill ended the death penalty. So that was something we brought forward. We had more information about the new BPL Act that we brought out. People, we want you to go and look at that also. In May 2nd, you might not remember this, they were arresting Maria Daxon, all right, for exposing their corruption. This is going to be the second time since Maria was a member of the COI alone that they were trying to silence her. Of course, there was nothing they could do. In the end, we made sure that everything was public. This, you remember, was a scandal where it was Team Haiti, Bahamas, All Star. They had our flag there, and they put the word Haiti first, not even Bahamas, Haiti. The Haiti, Bahamas, All Star. That was scandalous. And of course, anything happens under this government. All right. And so we did a whole live on that. Um, we rescued Maria and got out. Um, then we talked about a boy who was raped at a PYL convention during visiting a PYL convention in the hotel. And it seemed like they were covering it up. And we went and fought. Um, um, and Fred Mitchell even threatened us and all this kind of nonsense. We didn't care. And so we fought for him. So that was another person we fought for this year. And again, only the ones that are necessary to go public goes public. We fight for a lot of people. We lost Loftus Roca also this year. I'm sorry, I'm trying to speak through this. The Coral Harbor fires, we went to investigate them. And we saw where there was a lot of cutting down for coal going on in that area. And maybe it was them doing the burning, etc. We found a national insurance card. All right, we turned it over to the police. But those fires seem very suspicious. All right. Suspected coal makers. So we did that. And we also, when was this? In May, we donated money to the crisis, not the crisis, to the Great Commission. We made donation to the Great Commission because we believe in the workers. They're feeding a lot of people. It's not that they support us or don't support us. We just believe in the work that they are doing. All right. And so that's why we are supportive of what's happening there. All right. So let's keep going. All right. Let's keep going. So thank you all for staying with me through all of these technical difficulties and all this kind of stuff. All right. So they started this talk about the hospital, and we started to expose it. We went and we showed it wasn't really a hospital they were billing, and you notice they still aren't billing it. We went and exposed it myself, my health minister, and Ms. Daxon. We started investigating to see what's going on, and we realized that the whole thing was a sham. Where they were putting it was a sham. This loan from the Chinese was a sham. And they were saying that this thing is going to take 36 months to build, but they were trying to make the same as a promise delivered, which it couldn't be delivered before election. And so they were basically flim-flamming. The whole thing was a sham. And so we exposed that. All right, let's keep going. Yeah, this is where we had the live to expose the hospital. You see how much things we were dealing with in 1 year? And this one here is very interesting. I wish I could press play on this, but this was where the government went to Cat Island. And they staged they brought some people to make them seem like they were working on the airport. You notice they didn't finish the airport yet. This was them there in May faking. This is now December. All right, there's no way it should take that long to build this one little building that they put in there. All right, but they still ain't finished. And here, this is in May, they were flamming, and you could hear Dr. Darville on it saying, "Oh, just make it look like you're doing something." And they brought people there to me and said, you know, they only put up one wall to the front partially and said, to shoot the camera from this direction. So otherwise they'll see that they'll see where there's no walls up. And this was really an embarrassment for the government. It's like they have no shame, and they're just flim-flamming their whole way to this. You can go back on my page and look at that and hear it for yourselves. All right. All right. And so it started to be a lot of problems with electricity and water and internet all over the place and all kind of islands. And it's like they didn't care until we went and started exposing on these family islands, etc. But they didn't care. All right. And then we exposed where a gun smuggler had been arrested. And this gun smuggler was his mother, who was also arrested, was Wayne Monroe's assistant. All right. Assistant from National Security. All right. And so the guy having all this big cash, this big loads of guns. Y'all forgot about this, eh? Y'all forgot about this one? Had this big load of guns, and he was all right. The mother and son was arrested, and so we do it. The media wouldn't do it. It's like, what's going on with our media? I mean, any media anywhere in the world, they would say this woman works for Wayne Monroe. When you go to see Wayne Monroe, you have to see her first because she's to the desk, and you see her, and then you can see him. All right, and so all of a sudden we feel like this is just our opinion of it. Like he only get 5 years for all those guns, and you had people who got more time for one gun, and he had shipments. Jesus, and he pled guilty and got 5 years, I guess. Pled guilty. Oh, Jesus. All right. And so this was a big scandal, but let's keep going. All right. And so here we talk about a lot of scandals, FTX, BPL, water and sewage, Sam Bankman-Fried. And so you go back and look at that. All right. And so we went on Steve McKinney show to talk about a lot of the stuff that was going on. And we also talked about, remember this other scandal with Simon Wilson? Simon Wilson had literally assaulted and battered and threatened, in our opinion, a reporter who was questioning him, and he had been caught in a blatant lie. And the reporter stood up and told him that's not true. And he went and assaulted the reporter, and then he came and told him to meet him outside. And maybe this is why reporters are afraid to really question them or afraid to do any deep digging, because that's a government official threatening a reporter. I mean, in any other country, he would have been asked to resign. He would have been removed immediately, but not in the Commonwealth of Nadia. All right. It's sickening. All right. So here we started to talk about, Michael Pintard and his connection to Brian Simonette and what's really going on in this country. And he's a puppet of Brian Simonette. And so it was important for the Bahamian people to know. Brian Simonette had come out and endorsed him. He'd never endorsed anyone before. And we made sure the Bahamian people knew that this was just a puppet. Maybe some people mightn't care, but Brian Simonette feels like finally he's going to get control of this country. And that's why they keep us poor, so that when they come with the little trinkets, we're going to appreciate it. All right. Where are we now? We're in June. We're halfway through. Jesus. Halfway through. Almost there. All right. So, yeah. And so we'll skip over that. We went out to support Labor Day, and we went out to march with them. And then we talked about the robbery in progress. That was a live where I educated people about Brian Simonette and what's really going on with him and why he was supporting Michael Pintard. All right. It's a very important one. Go and watch that. This was the Labor Day one. You can go and watch that also. I'm trying to speed through so I can open the phone lines after this. This is one where I had Brave caught red-handed. And I was talking about what they had done with these fake companies where they had formed fake shell companies to really deal with our carbon credits. And that was concerning. One of the women whose name was on these companies no longer worked for Anthony Ferguson. And this was a big scandal to me. But there was a scandal where people were talking about Brave and the situation in Andres and these, and they were saying that there was a tape with him, etc. And they thought that that's what I was talking about when I put this out. And I was talking about something that was even more scandalous, but persons wanted to hear about sex scandals and not about the fact that they were robbing, literally setting up companies to steal our 900 million is what they said in carbon credits, when it's really billions in carbon credits. But people wanted to talk about sex. Let's keep going. Here, Dr. MacGyver, this is in June, exposed what was going on in the dialysis unit in the hospital, and it was a very powerful one. Go back and watch that. That is serious. We had more information about BPL and its supremacy. I said they're trying to steal it, and that's when I was warning everyone about what was going to happen with all this Pike stuff that came much later. I was trying to warn people about what was going on, but they weren't listening. I released documents. This is when we went to BPL to expose what was going on, and I released documents. Remember this? And so all year we were working. We were hard at it, fighting for what matters to the Bahamian people. Did you see the FNM talking about this, about BPL and that situation? Did you see them fighting for it? You see them holding the government to task? The government basically selling off BPL and no judicial review from the opposition or anything. All right, why? And so it was Father's Day, and so I went to the hospital site to show you exactly what's going on that swamp land that they should not even be developing on, and that a part of that land was contaminated, and they were going to build a hospital land. We went to Parliament to do a press conference about the BPL deal, and guess what? Michael Pintard was not there. He had nothing to say. That was it. It was cool. It was fine. He was not there. But he calls the Bahamian people to come out because they are silent in the house. But we were fighting for BPL, and Michael Pintard would not say a word. You dig? All right. And so we talk about, we exposed that NIB stocks were sold. Millions and millions, tens of millions in NIB stock was sold. And we don't know who it was sold to. All right. And so that was sold by the FNM. And so we were asking Michael Pintard about that. Of course, he won't open his mouth. He won't say a thing. He can't say anything. All right. Did Brenson and the Hollow West Coast benefit? Nothing from the FNM, which is a very corrupt party. I don't want you all to think that it's just the PLP. The PLP deals with some scandalous people, drug deals, etc. But the FNM is also extremely corrupt. And so I brought a financial expert who, I mean, a very respected expert on my live to talk about the selling of this, what's going on in NIB and the selling of those UX stocks. Someone who worked for Merrill Lynch and is an actual trainer at the University of Central Florida and has worked for many banks, etc. And so that was a very powerful show. You can go back and watch it. We are using the brightest minds from around the world to build in the Bahamas. All right. And so we had a live in Killarney. And so again, we've been working. I'm doing all of this. You can see that we have been working. All right. And so we had a session grading the government. All right. We're in July now. And so Dr. MacGyver had, talked about the media and their biasness and what's going on. We had a town hall meeting in Grand Bahama, and thank all of you for coming out to that. But we had a very powerful town hall meeting in Grand Bahama. And so we've been traveling, going to different islands. Here we go. All right. And so this one was interesting. I said going live on 102.7 The Rhythm soon. And I talked about how the flight was late because they didn't have no one to push the plane back. And someone thought I was going live because of that. And that was interesting. We showed this school here. This school in 8 Mile Rock again, where nothing was being done. I can tell you now that they are working on this arduously because we've embarrassed them. And it's going to make them look too bad if they go into another election and that school isn't open. So, I mean, tens of millions have been spent on this same school here. And this is when the Michael Johnson situation came out in July. And we talked about that there. And the fact that he should have been arrested, not placed on suspension. He should have been arrested and questioned. And we went in the 8 Mile Rock West End. We showed where, the police station was still there, even though they promised to break it down and rebuild it. They came after this and broke it down, but still haven't rebuilt it to this day. All right. And so we had a town hall meeting in Grand Bahama, was well attended. Thank all of you for attending it. And we talked about the Bahamas being a failed state and how, everything all over the country was going haywire. All right. You can go back and look at it for yourself. Around here, That's when the whistleblower in Miami had been shot. Sylvans had been shot, and a lot of stuff started to open up. All right. And we saw all this happening before our eyes, but there's still people who think that we should vote for PLP or FSN. All right. I'm gonna keep moving. We had a big event in Carmichael. We had a big fair in Carmichael. Thank you to all of you who came out to that. Um, that's our Freeport broadcast that happens on Dove Radio by Mr. Mitchell. And then I warned everyone about SIB investigating this whole thing. That was not the right thing to happen. The Bahamas educated, keeping you knowing. This is when we had some crypto experts that came and were talking about what's really going on with crypto. Over $100,000 at the time. I think it was around $30,000. So if you had invested in Bitcoin, your money would have multiplied exponentially. This is when we were going to have the interview with the whistleblower. He decided not to come on for whatever reason, and we kept going. All right, and so we had some COI youth that were being interviewed. All right, so we're almost there. This is when we went to, in July 23rd, we went to Eleuthera, and we exposed the water situation and what was really going on with Eleuthera. And of course, the government came running behind us to I guess, fix some stuff or make it look like something, but the country isn't working, and we went there and we had to fix that whole thing. For them. We did a very interesting interview. We went to Shanty Downs again in Eleuthera to show you where the Blackwood Shanty Town, the people in there, they actually said that the government came, put on a show with the media, and then left. All right. And that was it. They didn't bother them. They marked the place and they were going to break it down, and that was it. We had a very interesting interview with Marvin Gibson in Eleuthera. And then we had our youth takeover, elections for our youth. This is when we exposed what's going on with Clay Sweeting, where he have his own reverse osmosis plant. That's it right there. So why would he care about getting water to y'all? And he have his own. All right. So let me keep going. As you can see, the COI has been working arduously. We've been working hard. We've been putting in the work, getting this thing done. And so we weren't playing with this. And guess what? No F&M in sight, nowhere to help us. The only issue that they made noise about was the Keith Bell issue. And they didn't touch the immigration part of it. They just touched Keith Bell. The Spintard has a serious problem with Keith Bell. City Market staff, we again exposed what was going on with City Market, and we updated. We spoke to the lawyer who was involved with it. We were told that Wayne Monroe has this money for the City Market people, and he just ain't giving it back. All right. He said that he told me this personally that he was not giving instructions on who to give what to. And so he's going to hold on it until then. And so these people are now dying out, suffering, being evicted, all this kinds of stuff. And Wayne Monroe reportedly has a part of that money. And I say reportedly because he reported that to me. All right. There's a Harbor Island protest. And so the people at Harbor Island was just going crazy, over the treatment that they were getting. All right. And so in Eleuthera, we were also showing the water situation that was going on there. It was a major situation. This here was Maguana, what do you call it? The airport there. Also in Eleuthera, they talk about the social media thing that we put out there and really deny it, but yeah, that is what it is. All right. We also showed where to increase their fees. They were saying there's a need to increase fees, but we showed how much profit they were making. And they were making millions of dollars in profit. And they talk about they got to raise their fees. And of course, no media or anyone, no government wanted to challenge them, I guess, because that's the bank. But we went and showed you that it's all about profit, not about them needing to raise what was going on. All right. And so that's what we talked about, the new voting block that was going on, what they're trying to do. Um, and so that's the thing, the crowd in singing in Grand Bahama at the Bishop's Church. Here, the government had said that they were bringing in a crime agency. And of course, we went and called the National Crime Agency. And the National Crime Agency didn't know what the government was talking about. And then they came back and said, oh, it's the FBI. We're going to work with the FBI. As far as I know, the FBI didn't know what they were talking about. And so that was more flim-flamming about this whole thing. Now, remember, the government said by the end of the year, they got 15 more days in this year. Remember, I don't want you to forget. They said they would have the results on the Michael Johnson investigation by the end of the year. It's the 15th of December. All right? So time is closing by. And by the end of the year is when it was statute bar. And so they won't be able to do anything with him. So why would you go right up to the statute bar if you don't plan to just let him go? Because how you go arrest him after that? We're getting shamed. All right. And so Mario Bannister was arrested. Another government official, more scandal, was arrested with reference to this murder situation, conspiracy. And this was another school building that was taking years, over a decade to build, and nothing happened. It's Low Sound Primary School. This is our trip to Andros. All right. So we were going everywhere. We're working hard to get this done. It's our back to school that we did to make sure that kids could get their haircut. This is where we revealed that the UK, the situation with the UK and our line police force. Here, this is when they had a flood in Pinewood, and they were using these unhygienic pump trucks to pump the water. Thank you, appreciate it. They had me coughing, so they brought me something to drink. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. So these non-hygienic pumps they're using, I think this is so silly for the government to be thinking that this is a solution when they could just take $10 million and solve the flooding problem in Pinewood. But anyway, I'm going to be the one to solve it. We're going to fix that immediately. That's a fight I've had all my life, from having to walk in that in primary school to now. All right, we're going to fix that. But it's very unhygienic to use these pumps. You're putting that same dirty hoses in the water, and the water was splashing into people's houses. Now, some people said the justification was that oh, some people what do you call it? Cesspits, and the cesspit overflows. Pinewood has a sewer system. Okay? Pinewood has a sewer system. And so that's a moot point. Not that no one has septic tanks there, but Pinewood is mostly sewer. All right, let's keep going. 2 days later of pumping, and it was still flooded. So what's the point of? I guess it was another way to give contracts to croonies and to take money out of the treasury. All right. Excuse me. This is where Michael Pintard went to Eleuthera with a bunch of bottled waters. Brent Simonet and the Grandmama Port Authority went to send Pintard to Eleuthera with a bunch of bottled water. Now, people don't have water to bathe, wash their dishes, wash their clothes. They send them with bottled water, cases of bottled water. That just shows how out of touch the actor is. He just wanted to stage a show to be able to fake people out again. And that's all he does. It's just a bunch of fake stuff. It's ridiculous. it's almost comical that they having them actually believe. It's kind of like, let me leave Kamala alone. But I don't know. She thought that bringing on persons to some whatever the stallion woman name to twerk and twerking with her on the stage was going to get you votes. I don't understand that. But another important point I want everyone in Freeport to understand, Freeport where I am right now, the Grand Bahama Port Authority came and admitted that they're giving money to Pintard. They say they give money to both parties, but they're giving money to Pintard. So they are telling you that they are paying off Pintard. They're making him a puppet of them. And so if they have been the problem, if they have been your problem, you're not going to get a fix. Whatever problem you've been having with the Port Authority is going to even be worse now because they control. They would, if Pintard were to win, they would control the Prime Minister for the first time. Fully control. You understand? You understand how serious that is? They came forward and said, we giving Pintard money. He's going to be our puppet. Think about that. And so whatever problem has persisted will get worse now because they don't have a government to keep them in check because he can't keep them in check. They can do whatever they want. They can do whatever they like. Think about that. All right. So we keep going. We announced our candidates launch. There's going to be on September 15th. So now we're up to September. We're almost there. I know I've been going long, but I wanted you to see how much work we put in. If this took this long just to briefly go through this, imagine the amount of work that we put in on a daily basis to get each of these things done. That's what we want you to pay attention to. All right. And so we had a candidates launch that we invited persons to. And so the candidates launch was on September 15th. And it was a wonderful affair. We launched 19, the first 19 candidates that were vetted. And we presented them to the Bahamian public. And so you can go back and watch that. They actually blocked it. And so we had to do it from another person who happened to be live. Thank God they were, but they blocked our candidates launch event. And we released a bunch of entrepreneurs, professionals, accountants, lawyers, doctors, contractors, people with expertise in various areas who are going to take this country to the next level. And so while the other parties were sleeping, we are getting ready. We are going to the battlefield. We are readying our armor. We are going to the battlefield. All right. A candidate started appearing on radio. This is where we released a scandal about what's happening in West End at Old Bahama Bay, where I released it again a couple of weeks ago, and so these people, were shocked about what's going on here. Then the government started talking about well water and taxing well water and all this kind of stuff. They're trying to find every creative way to do that. I'm just trying to breeze through this because I'm almost there. Just bear with me. And so, this was a big scandal in September when the police were caught lying about the Michael Johnson situation, the Michael Johnson investigation, where they were saying that he was on leave. And then they said that was a dated photo that people saw. I don't know what that was supposed to mean. So they removed the original video off of Jones Communications website. Photo, he's on leave. He wasn't out there. And then they didn't know we already had screened the actual video. And so they were caught in a lie. That's Kristen Skippings. Of course, she is still disseminating information to the Bahamian public. The leadership of the police force is compromised severely. All right, this was very embarrassing for them, but they tried to ignore it and keep going. All right. We dealt with Grand Bahama Power and Light and the Port Authority in that situation and the government. Faith Pesenti was feeding people in the community. She's always doing that. Hopefully, she can remove Claire Martin and be able to actually do something in that community. Because just like Cat Island, nothing has happened there for since Columbus was there. It seems like it's the same thing in Angleston. All of the constituencies that heavily support the PLP are very neglected constituencies. And that's because if the PLP says that they're the government of the poor, why would they stop you from being the poor and lose their base? They say they're the government of the poor, but you don't understand what they're saying. That's why they have to keep you poor. Because if you stop being poor, they lose their base. Think about that. So that when they come with the handouts, you love it. I saw a video of some cars lined. I mean, it seems like for miles for a person to collect turkey. I'm not saying to don't go collect your turkey because that's our stolen money they use to buy the turkey. If the government has to be doing this after 50 years on this scale, they failed. It's simple as that. All right. And so we had put up in October, we put up some, I think I remember now, the banners about the 400 plus murders, and they took them down. Probably. It might have been after that. I'm going to keep going. All right. Cabbage Beach again. That situation with Cabbage Beach, the government was trying to sell it out. A lot of under-the-table deals. More of our candidates were on the radio to be interviewed. The secret documents we did to show that they had already were trying to sell Cabbage Beach. Then we were live in Long Island. Again, we've been going to all of these islands. We're live in Long Island. The internet is horrible in Long Island, just like I'm experiencing here in Grand Mama. All right. And so we couldn't go live at different areas, but we had a powerful live then. We brought some of the locals on with us. Long Island is in serious situation. Then we had our chairman on TMI being interviewed. And so our candidates were being interviewed. All right. And so that again was the Long Island interview. And so we talk about some of the scandals of this operation, Bahama, etc. This here is when we exposed the officer who was accused of rape. It almost seemed like they wanted to cover it up, but we had to go out there and make sure that it was exposed, and the officer was eventually arrested, put before the courts. A senior officer was accused of raping a minister of the gospel who preaches on the stage, who preaches on the pulpit every week. Basically, or not every week, but preaches on the pulpit. And so many cases started to come up with senior police officers. And again, it's like the police force started to crumble. And I want to say this again. There were some good, decent Christian people who the police abused on Cabbage Beach, not Cabbage Beach, on Goodman's Bay Beach for no reason during the CARICOM situation. And ever since then, it's like the government started to crumble. I want you to remember carefully. It's like the government started to fall apart immediately. But again, we also exposed the ambulances during the same live. Those little stick shift ambulances, we confirmed that, and they seem to be used to us, and it was scandalous. And that was the police officer who was arrested. And of course, they wouldn't say his name, but we exposed it. All right. And so that was a live reference to that. So we've been fighting, we've been working. There's other stuff that's not on here. That's another one of our candidates, William Knowles, was interviewed. And so our candidates were being interviewed. We are out there, we are working. We're not complacent. We're getting it done. All right. That's my birthday. That's when I spent my birthday speaking. There were a lot of kids there, but it wasn't a kids event. It was actually a seminar. There were adults there also, but I was focusing on the kids because I just thought it was so good that they had kids there. And so it was a powerful speech. You can go back and watch it. I had to change my speech on the fly because so many kids were there, because I had to give a speech that they could understand. I didn't want to speak over them. All right. All right. And so we're almost there. We're in October now. You see how much work we do on a daily basis? And so I'll skip over that. This is where we put up the signs. and then they broke them down. All right, that was in, when was that? November 3rd. All right. Yeah, that was November 3rd. All right, I'm going to keep going. The police who was, it's November, last month, the police in the Jobeth Colby knockdown situation is when we exposed that he was arrested, and that he was in hospital because he, in critical condition, because he tried to hang himself. And that's when we exposed that he was arrested for drugs. They said they found drugs in his car. Suspicious. Taxi drivers called for me, and I went out there to fight for them and helped again. Then we had an Abaco candidates launch in November. Year in review. There was more. The dialysis unit again by our deputy leader. We went back to Abaco and talked about and showed the trailer park and sending in evict people. We showed the roof collapse at the hurricane shelter, and we showed the shanty town where they broke down Bahamian's home and left the Haitians right next to him, who have a home and a store onto it. And this is where the Haitians told us that the government is actually helping them and paying for them to get housing. But if they can't find housing for you, they won't break down your place, down the Bahamians' place, even though they didn't find housing for them. That's crazy. Ratification, we released 2 candidates in Abaco. We have some more that's already ratified that we're gonna release to the public. And here's where we had to fight Miles LaRoda because of the situation going on with his children, where their grandmother was from work because she took pictures of her grandchild who was in hospital. Her grandchild was in hospital, and she took a picture of him. She wasn't on duty. She was, of course, it's seriously true. And so now Ramona Farquharson is their lawyer who was applying, so that took it out of our hands. We'd have gone there and taken those children for these people with the mother, but we're just waiting for something to happen because they have a lawyer dealing with it now. So Maria represents the children, but the Ramona Farquharson, and so they've applied, but Rhoda is blocking it, and it's ridiculous. All right. All right, and so they blocked the grandmother from seeing the child. So there was a lot about this Miles LaRoda thing that was going on. I had a speech at the Kiwanis. Go and watch that speech. It was a very interesting speech. And then we had we call it a motorcade, but it was what should we call it? It was a walkabout. We had a drive-about, drive-a-thon, where we really touched the Tall Pines area. All right. And then we talked about this LGBT PLP agenda. I think y'all remember what that was about. I'll skip over this because I want to get to the phones. And then we recently had a meet and greet in West Grand Bahama. So thank you to all of you who've been coming out. That's our Shadow Minister of Finance who talked about some things. And then we were back on ZNS being interviewed, and this was on the rundown with Clint Watson, and it was a very interesting interview. So go back and watch it. And we were delighted to be able to be there and educate the Bahamian public. We were then on Dove in Grand Bahama. We had a post where I talked about Bahamas Air, and this really went viral. I mean, I think probably about 200,000 people saw that. I was complimenting them on being early. So I guess that means a lot to a lot of people. So this was our packed house, West Grand Bahama town hall meet and greet. It was something to see. All right. Um, and we started talking about crime and time to kill the killers and all that kind of stuff. And everyone was talking with all these murders, with a little girl who was murdered and the grandmother who was murdered and raped, about capital punishment again. And then the government arrested someone who has mental illness for it. And we don't really know if that's the person who really did it. And a lot of people who suspect that that wasn't the person who really did it. And so that's a real question for a lot of people. So we were also back on Beyond the Headlines for the first time, and Francesca Short brought me on Beyond the Headlines. And had not been there for a while. I'd been banned off of Beyond the Headlines for some reason. And now they invited me back. And so we had an interesting interview. We also went back to Rawson Square for protests on November 27th to talk about what was going on. We went in, well, that was not really a protest, that was a press conference. And we went inside, and that's when we had to deal with Michael Pintard and shake him up because of what was going on. And that's this live here that's called PM Lies, because he just said some stuff and suspended the house. And on this one is when I addressed Michael Pintard that went viral. And the next week, Pintard tried to put on a show to get everyone to feel that he was doing something, but he's not really doing what he's supposed to do. All right. And then we had some visits after that. And we showed documentation about our concern with Michael Pintard with previous drug use. We don't know if he still has a drug. We still call on him to be tested immediately, so that we can know because we're paying him as the leader of the opposition, and we need to know what's going on with that, so that we know that our country is in safe hands. And Clayton Fernanda, of course, by the end of the year, was fired. All right. Not literally, he resigned, and he was gone. And then there was a new commissioner of police, and we know the story behind that. And then there was the throwing out of the mace. We exposed how it was all a setup by the FNM. And we can, when I open the phone lines today, and that brings us down to I was on Beyond again, who I was actually banned from that show for no reason at all. And it's recent time. And so this takes us to the generators that we provided for the old folks home. And we want to remind you again, if you have an elderly person in the Pinewood Gardens area, send us a WhatsApp. In the WhatsApp, put generators and get it to us. Just send the WhatsApp and we'll next Saturday bring them out to you. And this was the young lady who I saw giving some excellent service. I didn't even get her name. That's why her name isn't in the post. Someone said, Tiger, I don't know her name. I see people calling her Bree. And so thank you, Bree. You did a good job. And that is the year in review. Thank you. I know I took forever, but imagine how much work we do. Imagine that. That took me almost 2 hours to do. Imagine for every one of those things, we have to do research. And we have to do a lot of work, investigation, and a lot of stuff goes into every one of those things that you've seen. And so we have been working hard. I don't want you all to take this for granted. And again, not even 1% of what we do is on there. Goes public, goes to social media. Not even 1% of 1%. I'm going to open the phone lines now so you can chime in on any of these things that you saw or anything that you want to talk about. The number is 803-5995, 803-5995. I'm putting the number on the screen. I've been talking for 2 hours straight. And so, catch myself. All right. So 803-5995. You can regular call. Oops, regular call is dead. I'm so sorry. Didn't realized the phone was dead. It was traveling all day. WhatsApp call until I tell you the regular call is back up. You can WhatsApp call. What do we got? Okay, we got hundreds of people on here right now. A lot of you on YouTube. YouTube is looking good today. I think a lot of people like to. Okay, a lot of people like to watch this on their, and that's why they go to YouTube. Most people watch it from Bahamian Evolution YouTube page, and so that's where they are. 803-5995. Someone says that Pintard should be challenged. Yes, I agree, because he's an MP and he actually wrote that he used drugs, and that's what he wrote, that he used drugs and that it affected his mind. All right, forward to seeing definitely for the next election if he tries to run, that should be challenged. All right, 803-5995. So open, and so you can call in. So the regular line for those who don't have internet. So just give me a sec. If you don't have internet, you can't be watching right now. But who prefer to call from their regular line? Okay, that's coming back up. So that was the year. We've had a very busy year. That was just this year. We had last year and the year before. We are constantly working for the Bahamian people. And a lot of people take it for granted, the amount of work that we put in. But we put in a lot of work, right? So this is Mr. Bain. They are watching, my brother. Yeah, we don't have a problem. Oh, that was a text from a long time. We're getting back to the bottom now. All right. So 803-5995. You can regular call or you can WhatsApp call. But that's the year in review. Now we're heading into 2025. For a lot of you who are just tuning in, I'm going to play this video for you again. It'll be played in the beginning. A lot of you weren't on here, especially on what's on YouTube. And I'm going to play this video for you one more time so that you can see where we're headed. And then I'm going to give you an update on where we're going for this year, what's going to come out of this year, where do we go from here. All right. And so just give me. That is standing before us and mocking us and fighting for them, and he is challenging us, and their champion is called Philip Brave Davis, and that ain't my words, that's his words, because he said he's one of them, and he said he's going to look out for them, and he said he's always been there for them. When we need a government that's going to look out for us, taking all our land, all our resources, and the way they're going to get with the taxpayers. And I try to say to the lines with us. Oh, wow. Wow. Thank you so much for putting that together. We appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, another year is down. We're almost there. But it's just going to be real. There are some people who are alive today who will not make it to the end of the year. But for even those people, we are preparing for a new Bahamas. Our country is out of control, and there are most likely going to be some more murders before the end of the year. So that means that someone who's alive today is going to be killed because the country is out of order. What we want is a country that works, and that's all we want, man. It's about politics. It's about who is better than who, and who is good and who ain't good. And this is not about whether it's the right or the left is better, or the PLP or the FNM or the COI. This is about we just want a country that works, man. How is that too much to ask? Jesus, how is that too much to ask? How? We just want a country that works. Nothing in this country works. Nothing. Shanique will ask me in the show, you know, if Bahamians are ready for the COI, if they're going to trust the COI. How could they trust the PLP and FNM when all they've done is fail for all these years? That's a simple question that people have asked. I also saw someone put out a voice note today. I get tickled by some of these stuff sometimes. Actually, what if Lincoln ever been a success and he's not been a success in anything? I mean, that's clearly a lie. But that person is a paid troll of the PLP. A paid troll of the PLP who gets contracts from PLP. And so my question is, what has this PLP administration been a success in? Nothing. But taxing the Bahamian people, nothing. But putting more sufferation on the Bahamian people, nothing. Crime is worse. Education is worse. Our healthcare is bad. Our electricity is bad. They're just fronting, and they're still going on year 4. Going on to year 4. Telling us what they're going to do. When they should be wrapping up. They still talking about we are going to do this and we are going to do that. And can I show you what they've done? Oh, we've increased minimum wage. Increasing minimum wage was a trick to get more money into NIB, to be able to funnel it out, to siphon it out to their companies. Because that's why NIB is broke. There's nothing to do with any payments they have to make to beneficiaries. It's because they siphon it out. All right? And so what do they say they've accomplished? Nothing. Nothing. What have they accomplished? And so, ladies and gentlemen, it's a simple thing. If you pick the FNM, there's more failure and more corruption. Oh, Brent Simonette is waiting. He's jumping at the bits, waiting to finally control this country. If you pick the PLP, more corruption. We don't deserve nothing if you put them back there. These fellas have been dealing, come right now, caller. These fellas have been dealing drugs for over 3 years since they come in. The first set of PLP back in the 80s allowed drugs to be dealt. These set look like they dealing drugs. That's how it looks. And we could put them back. We got drugs in the government, drugs with the opposition, drug selling, drug use. What? We just surrounded by drugs. This is real drug nation. So, government, drug dealers, opposition, drug users. Where's our hope? Our only hope is to remove them. The governing party represented and represents drug dealers. The leader of the governing party represents drug dealers. Now, drug dealers are building the low-cost home in this country. The American government is watching that. There's some people who could be angry with me for saying this. Drug dealers are building low-cost homes in Abaco. Drug dealer is building, convicted, is building low-cost homes in other islands. Drug money being used to build homes. Do you know what that does? That means the government is laundering money for the drug dealers. Don't you think America has a problem with that? Don't you think civil nations have a problem with that? Shouldn't you have a problem with that? You are now cleaning up their money. That's what's happening. And then we have the question of a leader of the opposition, and we need to know if he still uses drugs or not. And he's not answering that. And I'm not saying that to attack him, This is our country. Let me take this call and I'll finish. Caller, you live. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bain. Good afternoon, Mr. President. Good afternoon, Bahamas.
Good afternoon.
I just want to say I am so grateful and privileged to be in the Bahamas and as an organic Bahamian, and had the opportunity to work alongside you in whichever capacity that I could have rendered my assistance. And I want to say to the Bahamian people and the Bahamian people who have woken up, we all have a job to do. This is not just one person or a few persons' fight. This is all of our fight. And all of us have an opportunity to participate. All of us have an opportunity to stand up and be counted. And when history books are written and it's told that you would be mentioned, that some you are not mentioned, but you knew that you were there. We all have a job to do. This is our home. This is our country. This is our Bahamas. And our children and the generations to come is depending on you. We know that today that there's no love in Parliament for the Bahamian people. We know that. We all know that. We have done the PLP and F&M. We have done them. Those two corporations, which are partners, they are not on our run. They're raping and robbing us. And we're not benefiting. We're not benefiting at all. It's painful when we have so many men and women today who would still say, oh, I can with PLP, I can F&M, I'll die PLP, I'll die F&M. For what? For what? They're still taxing us to death without mercy. Our seniors are hurting in this country. Senior citizens are paying VAT tax for their adult diapers. Seniors who have built this country. Women are paying VAT tax for their feminine products. And these women in Parliament today is not standing up for the senior citizens and women and children in this country. Bahamas, I love you. That's why I tell you. And I thank Lincoln Bain and the COI. Mr. President, I thank you, man. I thank you and all those persons standing alongside you, Dr. McGarvin, Charlotte Green, and Maria Daxon, and all of you for standing up and fighting for us.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. And so the war has just begun, and we are going to continue fighting this war. And so we're taking a little break at the end of the year. But when we come back in the new year, I'm sorry, the regular line was off. It's just on now, so you can call that 803-5995. When we come back in this new year, we are coming back with a new vision for the Bahamian people. We are coming back with vision because this country has not been working. And it's not been working because of corruption. And as simple as that. Do we move forward or do we go backwards another 50 years? I'm tired of going backwards. It's time to move forward. I'm tired of it. The question is, are you tired of it? Or do you want to keep accepting what you've been getting? All right? Let me read something from a political puppet of the FNM who was preaching hard against the FNM for many years, and now he is, for some advantages, is now somehow supporting them. I don't know how you support them after being against them for all these years. This person, I put it on the screen, you see Alan Johnson. He says, I am so blankety happy of it wasn't for Lincoln Maine and the cult of ignorance, I would not known I was married, because it was them that discovered and revealed to us my marital status. Just rest and be assured, Bahamians, nothing happens in the Bahamas without the permissive will of Lincoln Bain and the Church of Idiots. We can dispatch with all other leaders speaking to be elected. This is a very unintelligent post. Doesn't even seems like English. As Lincoln Bain, with all of his knowing and being all sovereign, has the solution for all things, the Bahamas and Jesus. I can't even read a lot of this. This person has sold his soul for a couple of dollars. He said that the PLP did him in, so he's going to go with the FNM, hoping he gets something from them. That's what he told to me. And that means that you've really sold out. And these are the kinds of people that are worse for our country. These kinds of people right here, they will sell their soul for a little bit of advantage and become a prostitute, a political prostitute, that is. And there's no place in this country for these kinds of people. In mythology, people saw vampires as the bad guys, but the real bad guys were not the vampires. It was the vampire keepers. It's those people who wanted to be vampires but couldn't be vampires. And the vampires wouldn't let them be vampires, but they would watch over the vampires when they were asleep, because the vampires couldn't trust the werewolves to do it anymore, because the werewolves were tired of their abuse. And they started trying to kill the vampires, and they were at war because they were tired of it. And so the vampires got the humans to do and they would treat them badly because they just wanted that power. Vampires were rich and they were powerful and strong, but they had to sleep in the day, and so they let the humans watch over them. And so this person right here is like those critters in those vampire myths, those persons who watched over the evil men and made sure that they were able to keep murdering innocent humans while they watched out for them. And that's those bloodsuckers. All right. The FNM and PLP are cults. This is an organization. We don't do the emotions. When you watch our rallies, it's not about emotions and jump up and scream and shake up and down. No, it's about information. It's about educating the Bahamian people. The people attracted to the COI are the intellectuals. That's who's attracted to us. People who want to see documentation and evidence. People who are tired of people just saying, oh, my Grammy is a PLP. My Grammy is a FNM, so I just FNM. Why? Grammy. And so there are two types of people that fall for cults, and that's people who just happen to be a part of it, and they just do it just because. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. And people who sell their souls, like this person right here. So let's not pay any attention to that. Let's not give it much of our brain power. But I just want you to be aware that coming into election season, there's a lot of money to be made, all right, in going after the COI, going after Lincoln Bain, being a prostitute, selling yourself, all right, and there's a lot of money to be made in that. And so I'm not going to hate on anybody who wants to make a couple of dollars, but we have to think about our country. Those persons think about themselves, and they need to make a couple of dollars. So if they want to make a couple of dollars, then go right ahead. All right. Yeah. And so every election, these characters find one party or another to go and start singing the praises of to make a couple dollars on the side. All right. All right. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this year is behind us. Another year of sufferation, corruption, incompetence under the PLP and the FNM. The FNM is just as bad. We don't want you to fall asleep. All right? We don't want you to fall asleep. I could pull screenshots up of that same gentleman who just made that text and show you how bad he was talking about the FNM. All right? And so the FNM is horrible. They're not good for this country. And so we don't want you to think, let's just swing back to the FNM because the PLP is so bad. That's what they do to us every election. Swing us back and forth to make sure no one else gets in. And then they buy out people in between. I am not for sale. All right? So for that gentleman who was on here, you know that. I'm not for sale. They've never experienced this in a third-party leader, although we're not a third party. There are only two parties in this country, the COI and the PLP-FNM, which is one party. All right? I'm not for sale. That will never happen. I will eat dirt first. I will gladly eat dirt. All right? All right, good. All right. And so, oh, wow, that person is still on here commenting. Jesus. All right. So they're still on there commenting, making their money. Y'all let him make his little change. Let him shake up himself his little change. All right. But we don't have time for that. All right. I won't even spend any time. And I don't block people, so he can do his thing. But we need change in this country, and we know that. We know that. We need change, but we are not for sale. All right. So I want to thank you for spending your Sundays with me. We'll be back early in January. We're going to take, how much Sundays do I get off? Oh my God, I won't know what to do with myself on Sunday. I might just have, that's 1, 2, probably 3 Sundays off. Y'all get handle that? I may come back on the 5th. I don't know. Either the 5th or the 12th. One of them. Either the 5th or the 12th. I'll announce it ahead of time. But the 22nd, I'll be off. The 29th, I'll be off. And we'll see what happens in January. January 5th is the first Sunday. And the 12th is the second Sunday. So we'll see what happens. But unless some emergency happens, something serious with the government, etc., I'll be taking a break. Otherwise than that, I'll be coming here. All right? And so... yeah, and so it's so entertaining. The trolls just come, I mean, knocking. I mean, and the most amazing thing that they say is, "Oh, the COI is not going to win." The CO. If you are so convinced of that, why do you feel you need to say that? I would never be sitting here saying Brave Davis is not going to win the Super Bowl. I don't care what he says; he's not going to win the Super Bowl. That's an impossibility. I am convinced that that's never going to happen. So why would I be discussing that? Because I don't feel it's going to happen. Now, if I believe that it's going to happen, I'm going to try to convince myself by repeating it over and over. And so they are saying that because they believe it could happen, and they're hoping that them saying it will stop it from happening. You see? And so that's why they need to keep saying it over and over and over and over. And so, C. Allen, I would advise you to go over to the FNM place before I start. You don't want me to unleash the scrolls. All right? Go that way. I understand what the politicians are doing. They're raping and robbing and making their money and getting power. It's the little minions and political prostitutes that annoy me. Why would you sell out your country? See, Allen, go that way before I open the scrolls. I think you know my ability. Don't let me open the scrolls and start revealing what is what. But it is people like y'all grimy, blood-sucking leeches that would sell yourselves for a couple dollars on a contract. I was offered major money by the PLP last year and a position. I told them the reason you're offering this to me is because I'm a threat. Because y'all believe that I could win, or y'all wouldn't be offering me this. Therefore, I think we're just going to win it, and you keep yours. And we're going to give to the Bahamian people what belongs to them. Let me take this call. Somebody says, Lincoln, don't worry about him. We dealing with him. That's fine. Yeah, but it's just that these blood-sucking prostitutes is what's wrong with this country. When I call, I'm going to get you 1 sec. Just hold the line. When I see, you see, their political system is that they offer contracts and make promises to certain people. Then they use those people to go out and recruit and to convince you to come vote for them because they're getting something. And that's what they do. And that's how they ruin this country. Those blood-sucking leeches who want contracts. And then the contracts is never enough for them. And they see they still starving, fighting over a $1,500 or $2,000 contract to clean schools or to clean the side of the road, to pick up garbage. Come on, man. We worth more than that. Go to the phone lines. Good evening, you're live.
Yeah, I just calling to let you know that, I've seen the COI come from a baby, and it's growing slowly but surely. And I think people are beginning to understand that the PLP and the FNM is no good for this country.
Mm-hmm.
Your fellas like C. Allen Johnson, what is his job? What does he do?
Every election, he tries to find ways he can make money from the party by being a mouthpiece for them.
Right. So, fellas like them, they don't have no way of making money, by themselves. They don't have no specific job. So
Oh my God, we had a power outage just now, and it was telling us that we weren't live anymore. It's a good thing some of our team here were looking at their devices and saw that we were still live. I'm so sorry. We even had a caller on there, and I told them, well, we were off. Um, of course, again, we're living in a country where nothing works. Um, and that's how we got to deal with things. I did not want to end the year with just being cut off so sudden, so I'm glad that we're back up and running. And I want you to know that we've ended the year. We've ended the year. All right, we've ended the year with our country in darkness, darker than it's ever been, but there is hope. There's no hope from the government or the opposition, but there's hope that there are a new group of people who are ready to be the change this country needs to see. And we're going to see that change. I believe in the spirit of the Bahamian people. I believe that we want something different now. And that is why I sacrifice. And that's why we're fighting to make this happen. Because I believe. I believe that it's time. I believe it's time for us to have a country that works. I believe that it's time for us to build a country for our children and their future. I believe. I believe. Do you believe? Yes, I believe. And so we're going to do just that. We're going to build a country that we all can be proud of, that our children can come back home to and not be overqualified. I believe that it's time for Vision 2030. And when we come back, that is exactly what we're going to present to you. We're going to present you a vision of a new Bahamas, a real Bahamas that you can believe in. And so, ladies and gentlemen, a new Bahamas is coming, and that's what we're going to present to you at the beginning of the new year. And so we want to thank you for being here all this year. We're going to take a break, refresh ourselves, but while you are taking a break, we're going to be working behind the scenes. Us, our candidates, our advisors, we're going to be working hard to bring you Vision 2030. Because this election should not be about who is scandalous, who is crooked, who is not crooked, who is good, who is bad. It should not be about throwing raw stones at each other. The American government, well, the American elections made you see that didn't work. They did that with Trump, and it didn't work because people can see through it. People know that it's time for change, and they want to see who's going to bring that change. There's no hope in change coming from the PLP. The PLP, I think, just ended themselves. There's no hope in the FNM, even though they're going to bring new candidates and they're going to try to sell them as a new young crew and saying go with a new generation. I don't think people are going to trust that, and the people know that it's not the candidates. The candidates have no say. It's the system. It's the fact that they're working for a party where they have to do what they're told and funnel the money down to who they want to funnel it to, the finances. They know that it's going to be about funneling money to Brent and the Hollow West Coast and all of the rest of them. And then we're going to be crying and complaining as they give us income tax so that the oligarchs don't have to pay taxes. Think about that. Because only the poor pay income tax, the rich don't. And so we want to build a new Bahamas. And we're going to show you the vision for just that. A vision for a new Bahamas. This is going to be presented to you by our shadow ministers. These new candidates. This new people that you've not seen. This new crew that is different than anything you've ever seen before, with a vision to take us there. I want to thank you for supporting me in this fight as we fight for our new Bahamas. This year is going to be intense. more people, prostitutes like political prostitutes like C. Allen and others are going to be sent with vicious attacks. But it's not going to work. Stay focused on the vision of the new Bahamas. That's what we're about. And that's the only thing that we're going to accept. My Lord, we are inching closer and closer to getting rid of the PLP and the FNM and having a country that works. Thank you, Lord. I want to end this year with a prayer. Father God, I want to pray for every single Bahamian under the sound of my voice. I want to pray that your comforter gives them comfort as we continue this tribulation in this nation. I want to pray that you ease the burdens of these people. Ease the burdens as it relates to electricity, ease the burdens as it relates to the cost of fuel and the cost of food. Ease the stress off of our people. Their cries are coming up to your hearing. There's never been so much suffering among your people who love you, even though we don't always get it right. Forgive us of all the sins that we have committed against you by allowing the foreigners to come in with their idols and their idolatry and to use it in our land and to teach us to use their idols and their idolatry and their witchcraft. Forgive us. Father God, forgive me of all of my sins, which are many. And forgive everyone who has sinned against me. Throw it in the sea of forgetfulness. Because without forgiveness, we cannot be forgiven. Father God, I pray for our Prime Minister. He still has a chance to do what is right. Father God, if he fails, our nation fails. And that is why I pray for him. Father God, help him to turn away from corruption and bribery. Help him to turn away from idolatry and witchcraft. Help him to turn away from greed. And cause him to seek you. Do what is right. Forgive them for their sins, for they know not what they do. They know not the day of making your people suffer. They could not know. And even if they knew, forgive them. And give them a chance to do what is right. Father God, I pray for the opposition today. That they would have the courage to stand up and do their job and protect your people and their interests and their will. And most importantly, your will. Father God, I pray for all of the families that have lost loved ones to murder. The families who have lost loved ones to illness because we do not have a proper healthcare system. Father God, I pray for this entire nation that we will get it right. That you can remove anything in this nation that doesn't look like you. If our leaders refuse to get it right, remove them. And replace them with people who are willing to put you first and to put you first. You can see. Praying for this week. Father God, heal our nation and heal our land. Because this land is our land. Because we're holding on to it for you. Father God, we love you. Father God, I love you. And thank you for helping and allowing us to see another year. Allow us to go into a new year with a vision of a new Bahamas in our hearts. Allow us to look out for the elderly and disabled and for our children. Father God, remove any corruption that is in this nation and anyone who wants to put corruption on this nation. And let us benefit from what you have given to us, our natural resources. This is my prayer, that every single Bahamian would benefit from what you gave to us. Our land, our sea, our flora, our fauna, our nation. I pray all these things before you and before this whole nation. Empower your people and allow them to rise. It is time for every Bahamian to rise. As we show the world not who we are, but who you are. Let the world see you through us. Bless us so that they can see you. I pray these things in the powerful name of Yeshua. Amen. Let's start New Year right. Let's start the new year with a new vision for this country. Let's start the new year with a new Bahamas. God bless all of you. I love you. The fight is just beginning. Join me on the battlefield in 2025. The war begins. The battle to save our nation. Join me on the battlefield. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless you. I love you. 2024 is done. See you in 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Lincoln Bain. I'm out.